Hello and welcome to our Future Lions Google Hangout. Today you get the chance to ask a panel of judges what it takes to get your idea on stage at Cannes and to, of course, be awarded with the Future Lions trophy. So we're live from Google today. I'm delighted to introduce our panel of judges. So here with me from Google is Torsten Schupp.
Hello.
From Cannes Lion International Festival of Creativity, we have Steve Latham. From AKQA, we have Anna Louise Gladwell.
Hi, everyone.
And myself, my name is Ian Wharton. And now, most importantly, a very warm welcome to our two schools that are joining us. First, from Stockholm, our 2015 School of the Year winner, Bergs School of Communication. Hello, Bergs.
Hi there. Hello.
And from London, we have one of my favorites, the School of Communication Arts. Hello, SCA.
Hi, guys.
Great. So welcome, obviously, and thank you for joining us. We're going to do our best to answer your questions, and also those that have come in via Twitter using the Ask Future Lions hashtag. Before we get started, it's worth recapping the brief. So each year, Future Lions, obviously now in its 11th year, we ask students around the world to connect people to an idea from a global brand in a way that wasn't possible 3 years ago. We have no rules in terms of media or technology and no specifics around product or the target audience. And this year's theme is Start Something. And really, this is a call for students in any discipline to put their ideas into practice. The reality is such that there is nothing to stop you reaching your audience. Everyone has the power to broadcast, publish, or distribute what is yielded by their imagination. The catch is that the ideas have to happen. So myself and the rest of the Future Lions Council couldn't be more excited to see this year's entries and see where your ideas take you. So with that, let's go straight to our first question from Bergs School, and we have Gabriella.
Hi, my question is, what's the single most important characteristic of a successful Future Lions idea?
Great. So panel, the single most successful characteristic. What do you think? Anna-Lou, how about you?
For me, it would be demonstrating originality. So obviously what we're looking for are ideas that push the boundaries, ideas that challenge the conventions of how we come up with ideas and ways to connect with consumers and ways to elevate global brands. So originality for me, and I guess the final thing would be being memorable. So ultimately landing an idea with us that gets us thinking and we can't get out of our minds.
Great. Torsten?
So I agree with fresh and memorable, but also the theme this year is start something. And you can't really start something if you can't make it in the real world. So I think it's really important that in addition to being original, you also have enough proof that it's actually doable, that you have the technology to do it, that you have some prototype to show it. So start something.
Great. And Steve, anything to add?
I'd agree with originality. I think when you look back at the archive of winners, they all still stand out as strong individual ideas, and they seem so fresh nowadays. So definitely think original.
Great. I guess from my point of view, something that I think will serve the students in Future Lions well, but also serve you in your careers beyond Future Lions, is to have a very good understanding of context. So potentially one of the most important words of the digital age is engagement. How do we get people interacting with our products and services? And really engagement is simply the accumulation of lots and lots of small decisions, maybe thousands of them, to interact with a brand. And when we pursue the occupation or attraction of someone's attention, we have the opportunity to serve them meaningfully and serve the brand meaningfully, or create irrecoverable intrusion into their lives. So only with a deep understanding of context and how that person behaves, what is their intent, what their time they have available, all of those things. Once we understand that, then we can serve the brand and create a good idea beyond that. So great. So I hope those questions help you, Gabriella. Our next question from Bergs comes from Anna.
Hi. So what's the best way to present your Future Lions idea? Do you think it's through a traditional case study, or is there a better way?
Great. So it's an incredibly important question. Probably the first thing to bear in mind is that we don't explicitly request that the entries are done on film. I should probably also point out, as a counterpart to that, is I can't recall in previous years any time when a slide presentation has won Future Lions. So I think it's a unanimous agreement that a film is the way to go. And then for me, the second thing to consider is what you need to do is make me and the rest of the judges care as much about your problem and your solution as much as you do. You have to set up the insight and you have to pay it off. And you have to make people feel empathetic towards that cause, whether it's to further the company or society, for example. If you can do all that in a film that's 2 minutes or thereabouts, then I think that's a good way to get going. Guys, what do you think? Anna-Lou, anything?
I'd agree with your points about a film. I think the critical thing is to choose the right medium, the right platform, the way to ultimately land your message, your core idea. There are 3 almost constructs that we use at AKQA when we create case studies, and that is insight, what's the core insight, what's the idea, and then articulating the impact that idea is ultimately going to have. So keeping it really simple. A film allows you to tell that narrative quite simply. Obviously, you can use voiceovers, you can use supers, text, etc. And you want to get a balance of delivering a good amount of explanation so we completely understand your idea, but creating some sort of theatre and impact, which a film allows you to do as well.
Great. Guys, Torsten, anything to add?
So a Google principle that we have is show, don't tell. And I think that would work quite well here. And I think it depends on what you are building. If it's something physical, maybe you build a prototype and then you do a video about that, bring it to life. Or of course, if it's something digital you're building, like a website or an app, then it should be easier to build such a prototype as well.
Great, good. So that's some incredible insight there. I hope Bergs, that's helped with your questions. So now we're going to go over to London and School of Communication Arts. So hello guys, please fire away.
Hi there. Yeah, my question is, how realistic do you think entries should be?
Great. So again, this is usually a fairly pertinent question each year that we have. So how realistic? I think my recommendation would be to hold yourselves accountable for the same things that we are in the industry, which is, yes, you have to make rational leaps of imagination to find a unique idea. But similarly, we are bound by some commercial reality. So what your ideas need to have is the possibility of success. It needs to be, to some degree, something that we can proactively pursue. If that's missing, then we'd have problems selling it to a client, and I think you will to judges as well. Alongside that is, don't let this rationality police your creativity too much. As in the point of inception of an idea, you have to be free and willing to say stupid things, because that's typically how we get to something that has meaning. But I'll hand it over to the judges. I mean, Steve, what do you think?
I think, so before I came today, I was actually reviewing the winners from the past few years, and everything just seems so realistic, and it's like it's been there forever. It just seems such an obvious solution that they've presented, and I think that's really one of the keys to it. So as a jury, when you're watching the case film, it just makes you believe that this is achievable. Mm-hmm. And going back to the previous question about the case film, really tell that story through your case film. Make it simple, but plan it as a story. Yeah. And as I say, reviewing the winners again today, I'm just blown away by the work that the students actually can do. Yeah.
Anna-Lou, anything you want to add?
I think I'd just add to that the ideas need to be feasible and realistic. And with all of the shortlisted submissions, as a judging panel, we'll do some background checks. So we'll make sure that the idea could happen, that it's something that is feasible, it is legitimate, and also it's worth pointing out that we'll also check that the idea hasn't been done before, that it's not already in existence somewhere.
Yeah. Great. So Nick, I hope that helps. Our next question is from Nihal. Hello, Nihal.
Hiya. My question is, what do you consider to be a global brand, and what if your idea could help turn a lesser-known brand into a global brand?
Great. So again, a very important point in the brief. Torsten, if you want to dive in.
Thanks, Nihal. Good question. It's one that I had myself when I was relooking at our brief. It's a beautifully short one-sentence brief. I wish they were always that crisp, the ones that we would write. But yes, it does say global brand in there, and it's an important clarification. What we don't require is that it is for a brand that is already global. So I think your idea of could you find a smaller brand and help them to scale to something global? Would be very interesting to see that. And actually, it should be easier than ever for a smaller player, for a person, for a company, for an idea to scale globally without having to have a huge corporation behind you with all the tools we have. And as judges, I think we would welcome some more variety. There were so many Google or Facebook or Coke examples in the past, so to have something new would be nice and refreshing.
Yeah, and I guess a useful point on that is just to, whether it's global or small, and whatever your intention for the brand, just make sure you have a pretty deep understanding of why that brand exists, because ultimately that will help enormously your idea. I think the best one I can recall from last year was for Google, and it was a project called Chromebook Type, which effectively created self-powered laptops using energy generated from key presses on the keyboard. And it was a perfect understanding of Google's mission, because these devices were aimed at areas of the world where access to electricity isn't all that easy, and Google's mission is to make the world's information accessible and useful. So that core understanding of why Google exists in this world helped lead to a great idea. Annalie, do you want to add anything?
I think perhaps the most exciting way of looking at it is a smaller brand that hasn't yet achieved scale and coming up with a fresh idea that will help them to grow, develop, scale, accelerate. And that's when we're all doing our jobs well. That's what we look to do with all of our clients. So I think not just looking at a big known brand today that's got global scale, but perhaps looking at ones and supporting them with ideas that can help them achieve that. That growth is a great place to start.
Great, good. Okay, so a huge thank you to both schools. Some really fantastic questions. I'm sure that's answered a lot of questions around the world. We're now going to go over to Twitter and answer some of the questions we've had through our Ask Future Lions hashtag. And the first question comes from Julian, so thanks for sending this in. He asks, what is more important, the idea we are communicating or the way in which we communicate? Incredibly important question. Annalie, maybe I'll come back to you for it.
The idea. So this competition, this is all about looking for incredible ideas. We ultimately want to see them presented in a great way, and you can add a lot of impact and drama through a case study, but fundamentally, if there's an incredible idea at the heart of it, that's what we will get more excited about, rather than a beautifully presented case study film and the idea it isn't strong enough at the heart of it.
Yeah, great. Gaz, you want to add anything? Steve, anything?
I 100% agree with that. I think whenever you look at the winners that come out of Cannes Lions, it's always really about the idea that's at the heart of it. Yes, they're supported by beautiful case films, etc., but it's really all about the idea, the big idea at the heart of it.
Yeah. So what we're saying is, you can a great idea can survive an okay telling, but a bad idea won't survive a great telling. Right. So I hope that helps. Good. So our next question from the hashtag is from Nee, and she asks, if you are a Future Lines winner, do you recommend updating your portfolio before or after Cannes? So from a Cannes man, what do you think?
I definitely say beforehand. Cannes is an amazing networking opportunity. There's over 15,000 people in the Palais and around the Palais. So you never know who you're going to be stood next to at a bar. You might not be. You might be sat next to a really influential headhunter or a creative director in the theatre, and you get talking to people all the time. Cannes it's not a scary place. It's a very open place, and people are very much keen to meet new people and to meet new talent. And ultimately, Cannes is also about finding talent. So senior people are looking for new talent to bring into their business. So if your portfolio is updated, not only can you represent yourself and your brand in person, but you can also redirect them to your portfolio. So definitely beforehand. Yeah,
I think there's this interesting mindset with students, I think, which is the assumption is that the agencies hold all the power. And the reality is, when you get an agency, the first thing you realize is we're desperate for great young talent. And I think if they realized how willing a lot of companies were to find them and get in touch, that would help. It's also worth noting we have this stat with Future Lions, which is 99% of all Future Lions winners have gone on to be employed by some of the biggest names in the industry. And I think the 1% decided to go and work on a farm, which of course we think is equally cool. But it's worth pointing out that roughly 15 seconds after stepping off stage at Cannes, you'll be inundated with requests and interest by the industry. So that said, remember that your you're building equity in your brand, and you shouldn't be ashamed to showcase what you've done and have everything ready.
And it's not just agencies actually at the festival. Nowadays, there's so many tech businesses there as well. So I guess really think about who you might want to work for, and don't let them come and find you. Go and find them. It's quite easy to do that nowadays. So do that.
Right. Very important point. So great. So thank you for that, Nee. Fantastic question. Next one comes from Helen via the Hangout page. Helen asks, does Google or AKQA hire Future Lions winners? So we'll go straight to Google.
Gosh, I think we are on a recorded Hangout, so I have to be very careful of what I'm saying. But yes, we are very open to hiring from Cannes, from the Future Lion winners. Actually, I think it was 2 years ago, I had quite in-deep conversations with a couple, which didn't work out because I think we couldn't make locations work and the right roles. But I would love to. And I think in Google, there's areas like the Creative Lab who are based in New York, in London, and Sydney. So that's not too bad places to go work at, where people would fit in very well. Or generally in marketing, where the spirit of Future Lions, which is about being very entrepreneurial and being very creative, is exactly the kind of qualifications we look for.
Yeah, great. So that's a glowing recommendation from Google. Similarly, from AKQA, we run a program called the Creative Fellowship, which is open exclusively to Future Lions winners. Currently, we have 2 teams on this program right now, past winners. Effectively, it's a 1 to 2 year paid placement with AKQA. You will be working with clients directly on live briefs, and you get to choose which AKQA office you're at, 6 months minimum at a time. And obviously, depending on the success of that and how people feel, we then have discussions about hiring full-time beyond that. So 2 huge opportunities exclusive to Cannes Lions winners. So we have one final question from Twitter, which is from Philippe, who asks, do you have to come from a creative or design school, or could business students enter Future Lions? Again, incredibly important. Yeah, so I can't stress enough how Future Lions is open to students of all disciplines. You don't need to be studying a creative course. In fact, a recent winner was a law student, and this individual is now working within the advertising and design industry. So open to all students, all disciplines around the world. All we're really looking for is those who are willing to put their ideas into practice. That's it.
You might be working as a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. If you currently, yes, that's right. Good. So we've now got time to go back to our schools. So first off, we'll go back to Bergs. I think we have a question from Debbie.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, this is my question for the jury. There's been an exponential growth in ad blocking since 2013. And I'm wondering if you, as a jury, take special note to the applications that meet this global trend head-on.
Great. Okay, so very important question about trends. So relating specifically to ad blocking from a company whose revenue comes mostly from ads. What's your take on this?
So it's definitely a very, very important trend. We don't have categories as such in the competition. So we wouldn't prioritize solutions for one topic over other ideas without any specific topic. So as such, no priority. But I do think if there's a great idea behind that, we'd all be very interested to hear. I'm very interested to hear. So even if you don't make that your idea that you submit, come and find me and have a chat with me.
Good. Guys, anything you want to add?
I would say that ad blocking has only been around a couple of years. This competition is looking to for technology that wasn't around 3 years ago to bring these ideas to life. So I'd regard it as a challenge.
Yep.
One of the big winners in Cannes this year was Unskippable campaign.
Yeah.
So I'd regard it actually as a challenge, not as a barrier.
Yeah, great. Okay, so hope that helps. To very useful and insightful answers, I think. And we can cut back to School of Communication Arts, and I believe we have a question from Lawrence.
Yeah. In your eyes, is it more important to make money or do good?
Good question. Okay, so make money or do good, getting straight to it. I like it. I guess this will refer to both the idea and as an individual. So I guess, Steve, what do you think?
I think as an individual, that's a really important value to hold throughout your life. I think certainly when you're younger, it's a value that's perhaps much more at the forefront of your thinking. I think as you do get older, certain realities of life will impact, and there may be the opportunity to chase the money, I suppose, rather than and perhaps have to compromise something along the way. And I think that's very much about the individual's decision. But I certainly think it's something you should certainly never lose throughout your life.
Yeah. Okay. Torsten, how about you?
So thanks for an existential question as part of the Q&A. I was thinking more about the idea. So do you use your idea, your submission, to help a brand do good, or do you use your idea to help a brand make money? I don't think they have to be one or the other. What I do think is important that your idea adds some utility and that it really lives well with the brand, with the values of the brand. And I think if you achieve that, then of course the space of doing good is a fruitful one. In the past, I think last year's winner, when I look at them, there's the Chromebook type, there's the Uber First Aid, and there's Snap Help. They were all in this do good field, but they would all have helped the brands have a better reputation in the long run, and that in the long run will also help them to make more money. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but it's a fruitful field to winning the competition for sure.
Yeah, and then purely from a Future Lines brief point of view, there's no requirement either way. I think the important thing for you guys with your ideas is to just have conviction and know which one you're doing. I mean, it's no different to briefs we get. Sometimes it's trying to impact society, sometimes it's trying to create shareholder value for a company. And neither is right or wrong, it's just knowing which one you're there to serve and which direction to take when you're working on your ideas. Anything anyone else want to add? No? Good. Okay, great. So that's pretty much everything covered. I think all we've got time for today. So hopefully all those responses have been useful to you. Again, we're going to be available for the next 30 minutes using the Ask Future Lines hashtag on Twitter. So please feel free to join in and ask us any questions. We'll be there available. And then just a quick reminder for the deadline. So we've got until the 6th of April at 6 p.m. GMT to get your entries in. And so please don't miss it. Everything is available via futurelines.com. And with that, basically, we want to say good luck. Thank you very much for joining us. And very much hope we get to see you guys at Cannes on stage in the not too distant future. So thank you very much.